Friends, welcome back. So in this video I'll be discussing a few scenarios like if we have too many test cases, but if we have very little time to execute the test cases, what would you do as a software tester or a software lead or as a software manager? This would be the common interview question they will be asked in any software testing related interviews. So I will be answer this. There are many ways we can tackle this issue if we have many test cases, but if we have a little time. The first thing what we should do is basic thing is we are required to prioritize the test cases. Basically every test cases we should prioritize normal test cases, medium test cases, critical test cases, something like that, so that every test cases, if we are prioritized in that way, our job becomes very easy, because we are going to prioritize those based on the functionalities and potential risk areas. Based on that, whichever the highest priority test cases, we would be focusing on executing those test cases in the first place. That is the first thing we normally do. And the second thing is again the adopting the risk based testing. Here we are going to assess each test cases for the impact or likelihood of failure based on the history of our project, history of the functionality, what kind of risk we may anticipate. Based on that we are going to prioritize our test cases. That is the second aspect. And the third aspect is we are going to divide our entire regression test suite or test cases based on features or module wise, so that whichever the modules which are very crucial, only those cases we will be executing first. That is another way of handling the situation. And the fourth way of handling situation is if we are bringing an automation in our test cases, definitely we can save a lot of time when we are bringing automation in those areas, so that we can cover as many test cases possible within the lesser time if we bring in automation on our test cases. And the next method we can adopt is we can go for exploratory testing as well. Exploratory testing is a technique. We may not go just following our test cases, we are also covering in a flow of exploratory manner, so that all the critical functionality or critical path we can execute as part of this exploratory testing. And we can also do a parallel testing. If possible, we can run multiple test cases simultaneously on different environment with possible combinations, so that still we can speed up our test cases and covering all different combinations, so that at least we can minimize certain risk if we follow this parallel testing strategy. And also if you use any testing tool, as we discussed earlier, if you are bringing parallel execution, we can use our test management tool, automated test reporting. Definitely this is also going to help us to streamline better, and we can execute our test cases in a quicker manner, in a more efficient perspective. And as we discussed earlier, we will be focusing on the critical path. The critical path means whichever the user flow which is very critical to the application or critical to the end user, critical to the customer, only those things will be testing in the first place. Based on that, we can also complete our execution if you follow this critical path as suggested by our customer. And we can also collaborate with the development team in engaging the regular communication, so that we can optimize our testing effort based on the discussion with the development team on the priority. Definitely this is also a strategy we can adopt by collaborating with development on regular basis in optimizing our test case execution. And even we can reevaluate overall test coverage as well. Certain test cases which never fail and certain area of the functionalities are completely stable, and we are not seeing any issues or defects, then obviously we can ignore or we can put a low priority for those test cases, so that we can only concentrate on high priority or high critical areas. so that we can cover more test cases in a lesser time. And as well as the time box testing sessions also we can adapt by considering a specific timeline for every features or every critical areas. Definitely by adapting this time box testing way also we can do more testing within given time. And if we adapt reporting defects regularly or promptly, where we can prioritize using our defect triage method, whichever the critical defects are there, we will be working closely with the development, and so that they can address very quickly, so that we can cover as much as possible in a lesser time. And as well as we have to adapt continuous monitoring as well, because we have lack of time and we have more test cases is there, and we should also look in continuous monitoring of all our test procedures, both it could be manual or automated runs, so that we can address the issues. Whenever we are seeing any failures, we have to do a quicker analysis, and we have to raise defects, or we have to work with the development team to get as much as information possible, so that we can address our testing progress as quickly as possible. And again, the documentation and knowledge sharing is also very crucial. With a given timeline, it is always good to have good documentation and good knowledge with the tester, so that we can bring efficiently, we can complete our test execution in a shorter timeline. So these are some of the methods. If we follow, definitely we can complete our execution in little time as well.